whatever.
All right. All right.
Okay, so I think it's just got it weird. All right, so I'm Elrik. I started the HEMA Philippines group and was part of the folks here in the Philippines who were already interested in these things and had some of the weapons. And then last weekend, I actually, it's like, to be honest, that was my second time sparring with steel longswords. I've only done it one time. And actually I'm going, did I do it? No, I actually did do it with steel before because I remembered the pommel slit up. Anyway, that's another long story. But it was a great honor to come visit you guys. And I expected you guys to be serious. I'm sorry, did you want to introduce everyone or should I just jump into continue with my free flow of thought?
Go on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, I've been doing martial arts since like '86. And I've been lucky to have like really good martial arts instructors and really good coaches. Like one of my coaches, one was a U.S. Olympic coach for judo. And so when I was not surprised by the intensity, I was not surprised by the seriousness. But I mean, you guys, not saying that you guys weren't also a fun class, but I like that. But more important to me, and why I said we should talk about this is, I was very impressed with you're very clear about the distinctions that made up your foundation. I'm very much the HEMA nerd where I was like, oh yeah, let's talk about your interpretation versus their interpretation. But here I was with you guys. It was clear that you guys are training for a particular style of HEMA sport combat, and there's a clear foundation for you. And so I was watching you teach that stuff. But what really impressed me was at one point when Rafael showed me, look, this is why we want to do it this way. I'm like, okay, I can see how the way you're explaining it, now I can see that not only does on that first beat of steel on steel contact, you now have my weak on your strong, which means you're a beat ahead of me. And, I could move forward or back. I could not disengage without you, like sort of like a fork. You had more than one way to mess me up at that point. And that was like, if this isn't their foundation basics, this group is gonna do good. And like I said, I'm not surprised given, the pedigree of your folks, Coach Veer's background, what's the national team. But it's a whole different thing to see it, and it's a whole different thing to feel it. And even though I got some experience, it was like, okay, I'm out of shape, whatever. But still, seeing like Vernon, who, when he first came to community, I was like partnering up with him to have him tag me multiple times, Raphael tag me. It was like, it made me very, very happy to see what you guys are bringing to the HEMA community, not just for Metro Manila, but all the Philippines. And then, we're dreaming big for all of Southeast Asia. So with that, please introduce the rest of you guys, what kind of sword nerds you are, what kind of sword geeks you are, and then like let's break down the fights and talk about whatever else you want to talk about.
That was a great introduction, man. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. There you are.
Okay. Hi, I'm Pierre Cahanera. The thing is, I only started HEMA like what? Since the pandemic started. No, but my background is really more for Olympic fencing. So I was with the national team way back, like a lifetime ago, back in 1990. So I spent a lot of time fencing, particularly Saber, and RG was even my classmate when I started. And we started together. So it just so happened that I stayed there longer. RG went to shooting. So now when it came to HEMA, it was for me something. When it came to HEMA, it was something interesting. It was something new, and I was just so amazed about the history of it, and I just wanted to learn more about it. And at the same time, seeing how it is and how it's been growing these past few years, or not few years, like a decade ago or something like that. I'm not sure about the history of the HEMA and in the HEMA community, but I found that I think it's a growing martial sport. So, and especially in the Philippines, I think it's very, we're in tune with that, I think, wherein we have a lot of Filipinos who I think can excel in this. And just think about those people in FMA. Think about those people who actually do other martial arts. Because the way I'm seeing it, HEMA is pretty much deals with everything. It deals with swordsmanship. It deals with the movement of MMA. The movement of jiu-jitsu is also there. So it's there. Because I just find it so interesting. Okay, Rio?
So I'm Rio. I started HEMA almost the same time as Coach Veer here. I was roped in by Jericho, and I visited his gym in Forge, Parañaque. And I grew up a huge nerd. I still live a sedentary, like I still just stay in front of my computer playing video games. I ended up being a video game developer. I wanted to get into film, etc. I wanted to, choreograph some cool fight scenes, but I never really got into it. But I did get introduced to fencing. I've been looking for a sport for a long time, and I loved fencing because it was the closest thing that I got to actual sword combat. I didn't hear about HEMA yet, and if only I did. But I started fencing. I played in a couple of games, a couple of tournaments. I played up till college, on and off, and I took up a lot of basic classes in other martial arts, but never got really into it. What really got stuck to me was fencing because there was a thrill on that. And then I started in foil, and but I ended up loving the rule set for epee because it was the closest to what I felt was like actual combat. But little did I know, when I got into this thing, and then I got convinced to help put up a club near our area up in the north in Pioneer. Then I got introduced to RG and Veer, right? That was the only time I started getting into HEMA quite seriously. It wasn't something I actually expected. I wanted to do it for fun, but with the goals and with the aligned goals and then the competitive training that Veer and RG had, Jericho's background in FMA, I was sucked in. it was fun, and the journey to go into it, I got inspired to work out more. I got inspired to actually put my time and effort into this thing. So that was my whole journey, and then here I am now, and I'm still a student. And even though we have a gym and all, we're all students. We never consider ourselves masters of this martial art. It's an always continuing journey, and we're sticking to it and inviting a lot of people to join us. RG.
Yeah, my name's RG. Oh, where to start? When I was a kid, I used to play with chopped up bamboo sticks. We used to whack each other when we were kids. Yeah, that was fun. Then later in college, I got to do a little bit of Olympic saber fencing with Fear. We were in the same class back in 1990. That was a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
I'd like to interject about that one, by the way. My first fencing competition was against RG, and he won the gold. And he beat me. I won silver.
it was a lucky hit. Could have gone anyway. Anyway, but life got in the way, got busy with work and career. Then about 10 years ago, I was in between jobs and my kids were playing with lightsabers and they weren't swinging it properly. And then I thought of getting in touch with Veer because Veer was running a kids fencing class. And then, I brought my son over, he fenced a bit. And then next thing I know, I wanted to join. And now I got hooked into it. I got into playing Olympic saber for what 2 years after that. And then I did epee. I did I did lessons every week for FA at Republic Fencing. Then after that, I met up with Jericho and I started some sword classes with him. And yeah, that's the start of my HEMA journey. Yeah. Aside from this, yeah, I have been working abroad, and at least with my work abroad, I was able to train with a different club, work with different instructors. So that's a good thing. For me, it doesn't matter who I learn from, as long as there's something that is to learn. I'm a like the other guys. I'm a nerd. For me, it's Ranma. Anything goes martial arts. That's for me, as long as it works. Anyway, how about you, Vernon?
Oh, hello. Sorry. I am camera conscious, so I'm sorry if I look jittery right now. But anyway, right. I'm one of their students or training partners, the Forge. These guys I've met last year, I think. Right? Was it last year? I don't know. We don't have a concept of time anymore. Right.
Yeah.
I I've always been into swords since I was a child, really. But I was I was well, I'm from South Cotabato, and nobody really cared. I asked my parents, they just looked at me weird and nothing. So right, but I would have been training swords if there was any. But anyway, cutting it down to 2020, pandemic came. There was nothing to do, right? Well, I've always been into swords, like I said, and I was watching Calligrim and all the other stuff about swords online, and then Blood and Iron. I saw their videos. Oh, people actually use long swords, and then I wanted the sword, and then I there was a video guiding me where to look for HEMA clubs, and then they that brought me to HEMA Alliance then, and then I searched, and then I found there's Forge, and then there's HEMA Philippines. So I checked on Facebook and found HEMA Philippines, obviously. And oh wow. And there I was looking for stuff for people who are selling swords in the Philippines because I did not know that people have access to swords here. I just thought you buy them abroad and there you are. And then I saw Dr. Jim Tipon's post selling the A-trim bastard. Oh, 11,000. I don't have that much money. So I saved a bit. Yeah, and besides, all the events were canceled, so I had a little bit of money set aside, so I bought it from him, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I then searched for videos online, YouTube. I saw Ford on HEMA Philippines, but I thought, should I join or should I ask? I eventually sent a message to Coach Jericho, but he said Forge is uh, not active at the moment, or everyone's yeah. So I was kind of sad. Why did I find Forge at the time when they just closed? Probably so there, pretty sad. And then I just did it my own thing and all that, and eventually uh, I contacted Elrik and then he invited me a couple of times in his house. He, gave me some basics and all that. But eventually, that event that when Mike Bugnosen and the guys from Baguio came down, I was invited there, and that's the first time I've met Coach Gear and RG. And I never sparred before, so I was just there. Okay, I fight. I didn't know what to do. And then I saw them fighting everybody, Mike, Quentin from Baguio, and everybody. But then RG hit me hard. No, not injury inducing hard, healthily hard. And oh, damn, I want to hit like that. So, and I saw them fight and use the tag and all the other guys. Oh, I wish I could go there, but then the club is not active. And then they got to talk to me and invited me in to join their training group, and that was really exciting. It's like a dream come true. Ooh, I'm going to be part of their little club. Really exciting, really exciting. So here I am. Anyway, I post a lot of videos and they critique that, and it's funny. That's all. That's all. Sorry, long story.
No, it's okay. Vernon, I wanted to ask you, so you mean you went from, and we definitely, HEMA Philippines, want to encourage everybody, hey, go, train with a rattan stick, until, you can find partners and, train with what you have. Don't let, if you want to do this, go do it. So you had that experience. I mean, you built your own jacket, you built a lot of your own armor, but, I got to work with you when you didn't know nothing. And then I got to spar with you recently. What was it like, your experience getting trained with, the Forge Pioneer crew? How did your relationship to swordsmanship evolve, if you don't mind sharing?
Oh, it's
That's a
a
good question.
answer. you know, I thought I was doing well. If you see in my posts, doing drills and all that and looking fancy, and no one was correcting me. I even contacted Coach, who's that, from Baguio, the one, uh, the one who works with Quintin, and asked him if he has
Michael.
feedback, if he can help me. No, no, Mike and Rod. Yeah, I even contacted him and asked for feedback or if he could train me way back. And but then when I got invited, and they apparently have this little session every now and then at Coach Gear's place. And wow, there were so many things. It's amazing actually. Eye opening. I didn't know that there's a lot of things you need to learn, body mechanics and edge alignment. It's it's a journey until now. It feels like I'm learning every day, but then and it feels like I've just learned today, but at the same time, I didn't. You've come a long way that you didn't realize that you've been learning this for so long that you forget that the other things that they taught you that surprised you at first are just normal to you, like how you hold a sword, uh, don't overextend, the wrist in proper position, and all of those things. They come naturally to you now that you think that you're learning what you're learning now because there are always new lessons that are taught to us and the coaches go through with us. That the other things were just supposed to be, that there's the things that are supposed to happen. When 1 year ago, I didn't know they were, oh, I didn't know that you need to keep your shoulders back. All of those things. It's quite amazing. It's like
To,
pancakes. Every day is a discovery, and it's very exciting. Very exciting. Yes.
to add context, right? Vernon had that, he was like, he had the guts to like contact everybody, get to know everybody. HEMA Philippines played a big role in that. All the other Facebook groups were there, and everybody was online because of the pandemic. The timing was great, and by that time, during the pandemic, our gym was already done with its soft opening, and we were starting to like open up and get a lot of people in. And then the pandemic happened, right? But we didn't want to call it a loss. We lost the venue, but our training continued. And one of the biggest things that we did was contact Lee Smith and get training. And right now we've been training him for over 2 years with Blood and Iron. So the Lee, Steve, and Nicole, they all helped us and groomed us, and with the whole coach team and Forge Pioneer, um, we were able to level up and look at the different ways we were sparring. I had to review and I had to cringe up all of the way, and I put it up in the wall in a video. And I was fencing a longsword like an epee, and then just throwing strikes, and then we were calling hits on really like on the flat, and then we were just trying to poke each other. It it, it makes me cringe, but I put it there so I could remember where I came from and what we're training for. And then I always record it. Our technology now is so great. Like before, I didn't have access to all of this, coaches from abroad or locally, to be able to contact a lot of all the other people, like-minded people, to share all that information with. But that's one of the things that we did. So during the pandemic, we were working hard on this, and Vernon came in along with that journey too. So by the time he got to spar with Veer at his place, we already had some training, and it was really different already by that time.
Actually, question for RJ and Veer. I mean, it's nice because you guys all, have previous sport fencing background. Uh, but I mean, Olympic fencing is very different from longsword. So if you could speak to um, what was it like transitioning to this? I mean, the mindset of this sport or the mindset of the weapon, and then maybe start off with that because I could ask other questions about like what's been the benefit of the mentorship from Blood and Iron. But I'd love to hear about like the switch from Olympic fencing to longsword as a start. Even though I know, I mean, like you guys are into other swords as well, but I mean, we'll keep this to a longsword conversation. Otherwise, we might go too many places tonight. Do you want to go first, Veer? Or?
Okay, I'll go ahead. When we still had the forge, when we had the gym. So we had Jericho who was training the people, and also during the weekdays we had Sam who was also teaching the students there. So I would be there because normally I would teach the fencing class, and sometimes it's side by side, sometimes it's we go first and then them. Anyway, so I got to see them play, and but I've never had the chance to train with them or learn any of the techniques. But when they do have sparring, I ask, hey, can I join? I just want to play. I just want to hit people. So when I did that, I was using the concepts I was using for fencing. So in fencing, we had, okay, I'm so used to having the right of way. Wherein I didn't care if I got hit as long as I hit them first. It's my point, and that's my mentality back then. And my mentality also was I would attack from afar, do an advanced lunge so that I could hit as fast as I can. Then I will always wonder what they call it a double. What the heck is a double? Isn't it? It's my attack. Isn't it supposed to be my point? So I had that mindset, which is um, totally frustrating because I end up I'm getting tired. And when I start looking at the videos, I look so funny, I look so weird, and all of that. Now it's a good thing that we like months later on, we had the lessons for what do you call this with Blood and Iron. And what we did, we also showed the videos of all the games that we had back then. Then they gave us an assessment. Okay, this, and that. Okay, why and not? You shouldn't be doing this, you should be doing that. Okay, this is the context of it, and blah blah blah. So, from what I got from me, as a personally, I had to learn how to separate that because Olympic fencing is a sport, HEMA is a martial art. So totally different. When I had to literally unlearn everything I know from fencing because it's different. The mindset has to be different. If I were to be for fencing, the way how I would interpret it is that for fencing, you fight for points. Okay, you do your best, no matter what it takes, as long as you score the point. That's it. That's what matters in the sport. HEMA is different. Now we have to have the mindset of a martial artist wherein if you get hit, you die. So it's more of okay, defending yourself, protecting yourself, hit, don't get hit, literally. So I'm still learning up to now. And up to now I still have the habits I have with saber fencing, which is actually not advisable for HEMA. But for me, that's how it goes. RG?
Yeah, well, for me, a lot like Veer, I had to unlearn a lot of the fencing stuff, where the rules of right of way and all that. Because with HEMA, it's different. You don't want to get hit. You want to hit first and don't get hit. Uh, Fencing for me is tag with sticks. That's what it is. A sport fencing, but it's a great sport. And but there's some stuff that you can carry over from Olympic fencing into HEMA, like the measure, distance control. It's a big thing that's still there. For me, it's because we have experience fencing with people. We know what's our measure already compared to people who don't fence. So that's the one big advantage coming into fencing. Uh, but aside from that, there's a lot of stuff you have to unlearn, even holding the sword. Totally different thing. Because aside from longsword, I also play with all the other swords, whether it's saber, messer, side sword, rapier. I play with all of those, and it's totally different. So, but it's a continuous journey. Always learning new things every day, every lesson. There's always something new, and the joy is that because this is on an unexplored territory, it's an endless journey. Can go any way you want it to go. And the great thing these days is that the source of information, they're everywhere. Aside from books, all these translations, transcriptions around. You can buy the books. You can also get free PDF versions from sites like Wikipedia and all that. And then you have all these videos on YouTube. Now, our challenge is to figure out what works, what doesn't work. So that's the joy of having the training under Blood and Iron. They have done all of that already. They've got more than 10 years of experience in HEMA. They've made all the mistakes, and the way we're learning is the fast track version. And eventually, we'd like to pass it on to the HEMA Philippines community. Accelerate the learning curve and get more people to play. And for us, it's more fun for everyone. Yeah. So that's what I think. Back to you, Everett.
Coming from a martial arts perspective, it's very present that you guys they provided something solid to you. And I guess my one question was, did you guys check out, there's other online virtual schools out there. I was just curious why you chose Blood and Iron, regardless of why you did it, but it's like, I see the results, and it's going to be exciting to see how you guys are going to grow, and then the people who are going to be around you guys sparring with you and stuff. But was there a reason why you chose Blood and Iron? Sure.
Yeah.
Or you guys, whoever wants to answer.
Yeah, that's my fault. Like,
Cool.
okay. At first, I'll full disclosure, right? I'm a fan of their sparring breakdowns. When I saw how they sparred, they were my top choice. I saw that it was realistic in the sense that it felt like real combat. But that was my preconceived notions of what combat was. So aesthetically, I already wanted them. But I did contact other schools. But a lot of nice schools were going online. Europe didn't share a good time. We contacted another school. The timelines and the wasn't in line. Blood and Iron in Canada was, and I only found out about the other schools after I contacted them, but they were quick to reply. They were excited. So I just threw everything out because I finally got the people I wanted to talk to.
It's cool. Well, I just want to say, for Vernon, it's it sounds like he's knee deep in, I'm still a student, I'm still learning, but it's really cool to see where you are now compared to where you are back then. And I think as more people get involved, they'll be like, oh, come back to visit. And then it's like, okay, let's take it up to the next level. Rafa, I want to throw it back to you because you had an outline for us. Or are we going to jump into looking at the matches
we're good.
and stuff?
You want to get into matches?
Well, let me just do, because you guys introduced yourself, so in case it's needed. So I started my martial arts back in '86 doing foil fencing, actually. And then I did a whole bunch of Asian stuff, but 30 years in the Filipino martial arts world. And then, just to add flavor to it, it's I'm an uncredited Jedi in episode 2 of Star Wars. I'm a stunt coordinator who's done some different film projects over here. And most recently was for HBO Asia's Half World. So all the sword fights in there, I am part of putting that all together and training the actors for that. So it's I'm a living, I'm a sword nerd that gets to do it professionally in one way or another. And, it was just I'm coming into these sessions not having really trained much over the last 2 years. Also, like a year ago, I displaced my shoulder. So it's like a dislocation in my AC joint. So and then I re-injured it again. Actually, I was
During the
working on
match,
another.
I hope
Actually, I
not
can
during the
say-
match.
Say again.
I hope you didn't re-injure it after the match with Rio.
Well, I actually injured it. It was either during my match in November with you at the Saber, whatever thing it was, the Kalas Magani do.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, so I injured it then. And I don't remember if it was you or if it's someone else's match. But then in January, I was working on the training for Darna, for the actors in the rigging crew. And I ended up, you have to actually hold and pull the actors and stuff. And I hurt it again. So anyway, it's like, I'm an injured boy, but an injured boy with some experience and skills, out of shape. But bottom line is, you guys still outclassed me. But I just need to give myself a little leeway out there. I got an ego. So.
You have
So
to
let's-
keep it intact.
And I also
It's
just want to
fine.
say, it's like,
Yeah.
my perspective on some of the things to be different because I want to focus on different things.
Yeah.
But I have to just give credit that the foundation you guys are focusing on, I don't disagree. I am clear that there is solid martial, like the shit you guys are doing is martially sound. You know, because I look at it from that way. It's like, yeah, there are different ways to skin a cat, but you know, French knife work is just as good as Japanese knife work, and you're in the kitchen cutting up a fish or a salmon and stuff. It's different blades, you do it differently, but you know, they're good. And then, you know, Chinese cleaver work can be badass too. With that, let's jump into the videos, I guess.
All right. Where do we start?
Whose fight do you want to see first, Elrik?
It doesn't,
Vernon.
let's do Vernon first.
Okay, Vernon.
Okay, Vernon.
Oh my God.
Ahaha. Is it sharing?
Yes, it is.
Looks clear
it
on my
full
screen.
Clear? All right. So just tell me where to pause and stuff.
Okay, so this is the match between Vernon and Elrik. Yeah, can you make it full screen, Rio?
Oh, it's not?
No, it's not.
Okay, I'll reshare it. Wait up. New share. There. No?
No, I don't see anything.
Okay, it's full screen to me now.
No,
Wala, wala.
wala. It's not. It doesn't show anything. Uh-oh.
Technical difficulties. Wait lang. I'll reshare from here. There, while it's full. How's that? Did
There
that
you
work?
go. Nice.
All right. Okay. All right. Let's go.
Okay, it's the match. We started off. Okay, so now one of the things, Elrik, could you pause that? So for us, when we do analysis when we do fights, we look at the form, how it is, how they start and all of that. Now, for example, in your case, okay, if I'm going to analyze it, I'm looking at Elrik. It's like I said, I'm coaching you. Will that be okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I
Okay.
mean, I expect you're going to coach me through your lens. So it's like my failings will be through your lens. That's perfectly valid.
Okay, good. So from the very beginning, when you started, you were walking with a point up, with a blade up, and you were literally walking towards towards Vernon. Okay, you see that face in reverse. Now, that is a very dangerous position to begin with. Now, considering that your blade is not threatening. Second, if you look at your footwork, you're practically standing up. If he starts attack, if he attack you, his attack will go through you and you would not be able to defend it properly. So that's the first one that I saw in this match. Okay, can you continue? Now I see that your intention there was you're trying to make it slow and you're trying to hit like that. But the thing is, the best I could actually have there would just be a double. So it wouldn't really do much damage from your end. Okay. Okay, what I like what you did there for me, the way I saw how you were presenting it, how you were attacking, the arms were forward. I think that was already a hit from you against Vernon. Now Vernon's, you were for me that was it was Vernon's mistake. His position, his form was off. When you did an attack on long point, you got it, you got through. Now, what I would say about if I were to comment about your form, so many things that you have to correct here. Again, that's my opinion. Like the stance, your stance is still too high. Bend your knees so you could escape from, so you could be able to move more freely. Now, in this case, you could, I think you had a double here, if I'm not mistaken. Can I look at it? Yeah, I think
Looks like it's Elric.
was it here?
Yep. I think it was a clear shot at Elric, for Elric. Boom, on the shoulder.
Yep.
And then here,
That
that's a
was,
light,
after.
that's on the tip.
Yeah,
So
right
I give the
after.
point to Elric.
Yeah, that I had give that to Elric. One more thing, by the way, when we do scoring, so to speak, we have to make sure that the attacks or the hits are martially sound. So this is not sport fencing wherein the tap will work. You know, the tap will give you a point. We don't really do that. We would check first, okay, was that sort of hit, or was that hit, will it cause an injury in real life? So that's how the things those are the things we look at when they attack. And a lot of things that, of course, a lot of factors also, such as edge alignment, if the swings were proper, if we had a proper rotation of the blade. Do you think the swing was is wide enough for it to cause real damage? So those are the things that we actually look at during a match.
Yeah, and also to add like to add context for our training and our sparring. So this wasn't a tournament setting, so we weren't counting points for arm, head, legs. This is more of a sparring. It was the first time we had a guest fencer for Elric. Thank you. And you'll if you'll hear the audio, you'll hear a lot of backseat drivers. Now it's I guess it's a blood and iron thing, but then we inculcated it into our gym, where we're all side coaching, always side coaching. Of course, this won't happen in a tournament or in judging, but within the school, we're always reminding the students to their pointers, what they're trying to achieve, to always have it. And the goal of the student is for the coaches not to have to say it by performing it correctly. But it's something that drowns out also in the heat of combat, and then you just sort of remember. So we treat sparring as part of the training, and we want our drills, because we were doing drills for like an hour beforehand, to let the student remember all of these lessons. Oh, yeah, so there was a hit, but we didn't count it. There was a slice on both of your arms, but it was a slice. It didn't exactly cleave through, so we didn't count it. Probably superficial damage. So that's how we interpret it. We asked them to repeat. So we're, we're sorry, Vernon, but we're also harder on our own students.
Yes.
Even to the point that if there's a tournament, we'll be knocking points off our own students because there's a certain standard we want to achieve, and we'll just wave it off.
And like for that,
One of the other reasons I definitely want to dialogue with you guys about this is I was impressed with, I come from the world of FMA where it's like, there's a lot of complaints about certain sparring formats. And it was like really great to be in the environment of like, okay, what I felt was the energy I felt when I've been around certain FMA teams that are doing fight camps, like they're getting ready to compete against the schools that are their rivals, right?
Oh,
But it wasn't that intense, but the energy was reminiscent of that and like the seriousness, but it was also a lot of fun. So I got the sense like, this is a great group to train with if I want to get foundation, or a great group to train with because I want to compete. And, we want HEMA to grow in the Philippines. Actually, I want to see steel sparring grow, even for the FMA community. And
too.
it's going to take a group like doing what you guys are doing. So it's like, that made me very happy. I mean, if it was not the flat versus the edge, you guys said, nope, no good. If it was like a scratch versus a cut that would actually, cut through a bottle, let alone flesh and a limb, it's like you guys caught those things, and it was great to see.
Oh, great. And we also want our students to do cutting so they understand the mechanics of the steel sword. I think that's a very integral part there, and I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah, it's like if you're training martially for blades, it's like saying, "Oh, I train guns," and you've never fired a real gun, and you've never even fired an airsoft. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Don't say you train guns, man. Don't do that.
Now, speaking of cutting, for me, for my experience for that one, it really helped a lot with the edge alignment, and I ended up playing better because of that. When during the first few matches, I remember Ria, right, when we showed it to Lee of Blood and Iron, he kept on telling me, so many flaps, you're attack, you have to fix your edge alignment, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is what you do, you cut, but I don't have a sword. Just get anything, like a machete or anything. So I even got the cheapest jungle knife that I could find online.
How much? Like 200 pesos?
That's like 300 pesos or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I was using. So it was practicing, cutting. I don't know if you've seen my, I posted that on YouTube. Like,
you know what I'm kicking myself for? I should have thought about it, but someone I know was selling a 31-inch Zanzibar. It's a blade from Leyte. It would have been a perfect cutter for you, Veer. I think he was only selling it for $2,500 also.
What?
So, yeah.
Well, is it gone? Can I buy it?
I don't know. His name is Janice. You amigos, like, go keep talking. I'll go see if on my other, see if it's still available.
I'll buy it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so going back, as I mentioned, like the cutting, it really helped a lot in for me to also understand, the alignment of the blade and how it actually helps with the cut when you're actually playing. So I encourage all my students to actually learn how to cut, and they will understand it. They will see, okay, if I cut it this way, why is the bottle flying away? They will know that if it's the wrong alignment, it won't cut through. So I want them to experience that.
It's not only cheap, but you're also recycling by reusing. Okay, here's the next exchange. Oh, there's the sounds there. So that was a good underhand. Wait. That was a beat and then an arm cut there. That had good rotation. Oh, good. Call it. It was a good beat and attack. I think that was one of your good ones, Vernon. Let's go slow here. So there was an attempted attack. That's good. And then good distance effort, but then we got a cut.
No, that was
It
parried.
looked like
No, it was parried.
It was
and
parried
you
and
do
then that
cut
one.
from there. Yeah. Now, what I want to point out here, Elric, is actually your footwork and your stance. Now, if you notice, you were stepping back with straight leg. Your legs were your stance was high. Your legs are pretty much straight, and you're moving back like that. So you don't have full control of the distance. So it's in a point that you're about to fall off on your back. So that's why you end up doing what do you call it, the panic parries and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
for me, it's really more of the footwork in these last two exchanges. That's what Vernon had against. That's the advantage Vernon had against you during the last two exchanges, was the footwork.
Oh, Vernon bad. Don't stop and look at the coach.
Uh, oh, yeah,
I wanted to see Elric bash you in the head.
actually, that's another thing. We're not don't stop until the judge tells you to stop. So it's actually the same thing we taught to us in Olympic fencing. We're not supposed to stop. We're not always supposed to look at the likes, if it's like stuff like that. So
Yeah,
And-
that was a kill right there. Yep. Okay. Yeah.
grabbing up the sword. Yeah.
Okay, go forward that. Okay.
Yeah, it also needs to be said, it's like Vernon and you guys are also keeping me safe because I'm not wearing HEMA rated gloves and I'm not wearing HEMA rated greaves. Or not greaves, what do you call the things on the forearms?
Gloves.
Forearm guards?
Forearm guards.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So it's like, you can't, blast me,
Yeah.
so that's another part of it.
Yeah. Gear plays a big role.
Because it'd be so easy to hurt people, But I have to say the jacket though was surprisingly, like, I had no bruises.
Yeah. Jackets are available. Where's the plug?
Yeah, the jackets out of Baguio are like surprisingly great.
Yeah, that's the Pitman Outdoor, right?
Yeah.
It's made by Pitman Outdoor. Pitman Outdoor. I think that's the one who made it.
Yeah, I have no
That
idea.
was a good.
Yep,
That was a
if
good
it's
one.
an outdoors, you can contact Mike Lugnosen.
Mike Bugnosin, yeah. Yeah, thank you for the jackets, Mike.
Yeah.
And
So
it's good.
this is a good move, Elric. Here. There's a deflect here. Then instantly countered. That's a clean shot. No after blows. Okay.
But it's interesting to think that like, yeah, it's like, oh great, I got now my sword is stuck in his side and he can still cut my head off or
Yeah.
pound me with his pommel. It's like in a real combat, it makes you think like, oh shit.
Yeah. The one
Well,
tip that you have to like since the sword was stuck on one side, you could step on the side where it's stuck and then do some abzugs out. It's like that's just the best way to avoid after blows. It's really a step after and then just step back and then just slice the air.
And part of our training is really how to escape after an attack. So you have to always defend yourself. Once you get a cut, defend, and avoid getting hit.
Oh. So I don't know what happened there. Did you miss Elric or
go back. Let me see.
so there was a threat here. You reacted to the threat and
Yeah,
then
it was a hit against
it was a hit. But you were supposed to after blow.
a miss.
Was that a boxing?
Looks like I
meme?
missed.
This
Looks
is
like
a
I
miss.
missed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there, I would say, Vernon, you have to step out because we're trying to avoid the afterblow. But you were lucky because Elric missed.
Or it might have been because like if you just let it play in real time, it's all simultaneous. So it might have been like he was in the right place at the right time. So I did miss.
All right, let's do it in real time.
Now Elrik was trying to parry it. He was
Yeah.
trying to go for a high guard, and Vernon changed the direction of the blade. So it was a mutation. It's a mutation of an attack, which made it easy. So he was able to attack from.
Oh, okay. So maybe it was the awkward position from reacting to the first one, and then that caused the miss.
Yep.
From
Okay.
my perspective of FMA, it's like this would be a technique they sometimes call like a pluma or a roof block. It's kind of in between the both, where you're just letting it slide by.
Yeah.
But what I would say is like, oh, Vernon did like a bait, and then hit me someplace else. So it definitely took advantage of me in that place and had footwork that aligned with it. That's how I would read it. I'm not saying I'm right. It's just like
Oh,
this
that's
glance,
perfectly
I see it,
sound.
you
Yeah.
know? And it's also, it's like if we had a different camera angle, I'd be like, it could be totally different, right? This is
Yeah.
what I'm seeing in this camera angle.
I think that was pretty good. Yeah, there.
On.
All right, I'll skip over the talking. There.
That was a
Oh.
late attack.
That was a false edge attempt by Vernon, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I
was
walked
it?
into his trust there.
He did the prompt.
Oh, there's a prompt. Okay, you got the prompt there, and then that was a false edge.
No, two edge.
Oh, no, true edge. Okay.
Yeah, I walked into his trust. He was able to direct the point to me after I jumped.
Yeah. Yeah, you walked into it. Okay. Yeah, okay, there. I noticed it before.
That's kind of like a fun play for me too, because we're both engaging with the false edge, and it creates, you know, cool permutations.
Yeah, I love false edge stuff. It's really cool, and it's one of the reasons like I love double-edged swords now. I used to be a katana weeb, but then after I got introduced to like false edge stuff, oh my god.
The double edge and the cross guard make longsword
Yeah.
such a fascinating and fun weapon. It's not. I mean, there's so much to it, so much more to it.
Yeah, I can't go back anymore. But here, this was a good one from you, Elric. So since we didn't consider like that a cut from Vernon since the force was stopped, and then you got a pommel strike in. That was cool.
No, that's the last, I think.
That was the last one.
So I
Okay.
mean, from my perspective, when I mean, my initial thing would be, and just so you guys are aware, it's like I need to work on my cardio because I'm actually gassing out already. I can see and remembering what it was like, because it's like I'm playing a really counter offensive game, but because I don't have the gas in the tank, I'm always late. It almost looks like I'm blocking, even though that's not my intention. I'm just that slow.
Yeah.
And then it's like I agree with everything you're saying, Coach Veer, about my stances and stuff, but I'm working on actually a different framework where I actually want a higher stance. But
Yeah.
it can be beaten by a lower stance in certain types of engagements. But it's like, something I'm working on, just so be transparent with what I'm working on.
And I like that. One of the cool things about our Philippine scene is that we have two different schools doing different things, and we get to experiment, see what works. It would be different if everybody did the same thing, right? So
Yeah.
everybody's going to have to explore and see where their journey takes them, and then we'll see.
Actually, I was thinking it'd be very interesting, especially since Coach Veer, I mean not Veer, Coach Jericho, then will be using their dos manos from Carlos Hermanos. So
Yeah.
that'll be has an entirely different focus and flavor.
It is. We have a lot of disciplines. What's nice is that generally the Philippine community sees it as a martial art, and we wanna try these different things out, and maybe we'll see something different from our scene too.
Question for you guys before we go into the next one, because it's like you guys are definitely talking about it as a martial art. Everything you're doing that I saw makes me go like, yes, you are definitely. I mean, it's like if we had the zombie apocalypse. Hey, you know what? You're one of the crews I'd want to be around, because it's like, man, change out these blunts for sharp steel. Gonna wreck shop, right? You guys are
Yeah,
so.
sounds fun.
But at the same time, you know, if any one group is gonna really, and maybe we would edit this for you know, for politics or whatever in the future, because we really want to bring in more people. But I see you guys really being able to create the foundation of a HEMA sport for the Philippines. So I don't know, is there any challenge there at this point, or it's like,
I think that's the goal for me. And again, for me, that's the goal. One of the reasons why I invited you guys from the HEMA Philippines to create the HEMA, what do you call it? The HEMA
Association.
Yeah.
Of the Philippines.
Philippine HEMA Association. That's why we're working on that. But well, because of this pandemic thing, things we couldn't get things done. But we've started it. Like we have Quintin and Mike from Baguio, and we're working on that. And what we want to do is really grow this.
So
I think
for
it's
you-
possible.
yeah. I guess what I'm hearing is there's no contradiction between training martially and also trying to build a great sport around it.
It is
Yeah.
possible. Everything is through conversation, so
Yeah.
it can be
So
done.
it's an ongoing thing. I think the first step before something like that happens is we all cross swords and have a lot of beers after, and discuss and see what the future of the Philippine scene here will happen. And that's why it's nice to encourage a lot of people to join in on that conversation,
Yeah.
so that if ever it's going to be the first country with a unified rule set. That excites me, but it's an wait and see thing, because uh, I believe after conversations that we all want to martially align, and our sparring goals, our tournaments, and what are we trying to go for.
Yeah, it's great when we can all have a playground where it's like we all want to play there together and we're all clear on the rules. I've always said it's like a great martial sport is clear to the audience, the coaches, the athletes, and the judging and refs. When everyone's on the same page, then you have a great sport. And I think you know, that's in the future. That's something we all aspire to. So that's great.
Oh yeah, agreed. We'll head to the next one. Sharing last one. Okay. So, oh wait, was there sounds last time? No.
There was no sound.
Oh, okay.
I think you were on mute.
I think sometimes videos
There
don't
you
play
go.
sound in this type of environment,
Okay.
unless it's like on your
Sorry.
speakers, and then
Here.
it comes out.
There's an option for it. There you go. Now the sounds, right?
Right.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
It is. Pause it real quick. Increase the volume at the bottom. There
Alright,
you go.
here.
Added. Change number one. Continue. No.
We'll finish it.
Up.
Okay. So, disclaimer, I'm still new. I stand up a lot. I gas out too. It's the heat also. And I'm trying to conserve energy.
Also a request,
There you
Rio,
go. Yeah.
Rio, can you mute yourself when you're playing the video? Because the audio from your mic is faster than the audio or misaligned
okay.
audio of the video, so it confuses everyone watching.
Okay, I'll pause. So
So mute yourself when you play the video, basically.
okay. Wait, where's my mute? Oh, there. Okay, I'll play.
Continue. No. Up.
Got one. I'll say what's going on in my mind, and then you can say what's going on yours. Wait. Oh, okay, wait. This is the second one.
Okay, from what I saw, again, I was judging there. The
Yes.
first attack on Rio was actually a thrust, but I
Okay.
didn't call it because I didn't find it martially valid because it was too far.
Hmm.
So again, we are very strict with it. Even if it may seem that it was a hit for you, Elric, I didn't call it because I wasn't happy with it.
Yeah.
And looking at it, objectively right there, it's like, there's no bend in his blade. So that
Yes.
says a lot. I would agree that, okay, for a sport, it's like, you make it really clear, we need to see a bend in the blade. There is no bend in the blade there.
Yes. No bend, and my hands, there's no body structure. You can push that with your head, and my hands were casted, so there wasn't enough strength to push on that.
And Lee would hate this. Look at your stance. You're like way too you're reaching too much.
Yeah, I'm reaching too much. There's not enough to penetrate skin or skulls with that.
Continue. No. Stop.
And yeah,
It went too fast. I can't even see how it got in. I felt something, obviously, because I
Okay,
acknowledged
from what I saw from this one, I think it's when Rio attack, you got to parry it. When you did a repose or try to hit back, if you look at Rio's blade, it's there. It's still there. Then he was guiding it away from you, hits you in the hand, and he moves away.
Actually,
hand or is it the body?
he didn't hit me in the hand. He hit me
Or
in
is
the
it body?
body.
Oh yeah,
So I can't even see from this angle where he hit me.
yeah. I think what gave it away was the audio. There was a lot of thud, but yeah.
But I also point. If you see me, I point to where you hit me. So
yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yes. So the way I see it from there, what do you call this? Rio was doing the fueling. He was feeding your blade. So when you attacked, he was just guiding it, not releasing it. He was was guiding your blade away from him. Then he cuts you from under. Then he moves away. That's how I interpret the
one
exchange.
thing I want to acknowledge too, because it's in your basics, but and it's that's a perfect example of it, is your skill with blade engagement with the long swords. It's like you guys definitely have something already refined and developed. I'm aware of it from other practices with different types of blades, but it's just like
Yeah.
that's
There's
just
a lot of
perfect
fuel
example.
drills.
Your blade engagement drills with the longsword, it beat me there.
I'd like to think so, but like in the heat of the moment, like you forget to think. So the training would really just come out. We did a lot
Yeah.
of field and training where we go, this is the week, this is medium. We even have one where eyes are closed and then we try to feel what kind of pressure is being given to you. So a lot of practice on that.
And for like define fuel, and for like the audience who might whoever watches this in the future.
Call a friend, beep beep. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Fueling,
RG can explain, or beer.
Actually, literally in German, it literally means feel. So you're pretty much feeling the blade.
Yeah.
Feel the pressure against it, whether it's weak, medium, strong, and based on how it feels, that's how you will react to it.
And it shows, because it's like, I know intellectually what it is with the longsword. I don't have the practice of doing it with the longsword, but I can recognize you're beating me in the bind. You're beating me in the sword engagement. And it's like, that's badass for me to see. It makes me happy.
Hey, that made me happy too. Okay, next exchange.
Fence.
That was a thrust.
Yeah, you fucker.
That is where Rio's epee moves or the thrusting, his thrusting experience comes in. He did a disengage. You try to hit the blade, disengage, thrust, and move away.
Yeah, the move
that
away
was
was exposing my back though, but yeah.
in that moment, it worked and it was clean.
And although RG actually mentions that it's actually dangerous to thrust under without control of the blade. Because
Look at
yeah.
that stab.
But you were kind and you actually reacted to the thrust. But if you were a suicidal fighter, we'd both be dead.
Yeah.
So so we'd say win on a tournament here, but a loss to our training because this is bad. And if you really were mad at me, I'm at fault because of my back stuff.
No, I love that perspective. That's really combative. That's great.
Those feel like
You know, can we pause it for a moment? One of my perspectives is really that of the I forget what they're called, but the judicial duels where they fought with long swords but no armor. For me, that's like my ideal of how I'm training. I'm not training for armored longsword versus
Yeah.
armored longsword. In my mind, I'm training unarmored longsword versus unarmored longsword. And this stuff is just so I can, use my computer tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, we are practicing Boss Vectin, right? So like none of the armored combat stuff. It usually ends up grappling too. So we love this type of combat. Next.
Change team. Ready. Fence. Up.
Flat. So I like to do key to bait in, but that strike wasn't aiming for anything. I was trying to get myself to safety. So it hit something that was super flat.
Music. Good job here. Change number 4. Fence. Sorry, is that okay? No, that's it. Okay. That's it. That would kill me. Ready.
No, it's not from this angle because I didn't see it from this angle.
Yeah, so I call it. That would kill me. Ready, come right through my.
But I didn't
Change
see
number
that.
5.
I didn't see it from my angle. When
I felt it dig in, so I was concerned because it was like on the like near the armpit. I know it's not that padded, so I had to ask because it bent. But yeah, RG should have said something.
It was
He's on the
really-
other side.
I didn't see anything there.
Again, it didn't cause any bruises, but I felt like, because I worked in restaurant business, so I know what it is to pierce flesh and pierce cows and pigs, and like it would have, that would have gone in at least like 4 or 5 inches
Oh,
and stuff. But it really doesn't take much. So
yeah, Lee says that a lot. Like if you work with flesh, you know. See,
4 pounds of force, right?
yeah.
it's really minor to put a knife through a pig and
Yeah.
stuff. And then talk to guys who are hunters, because it's a whole different thing to cut. Like I cut, one of my practices cutting through pata ng baboy, right?
Yeah.
But it's really hard to cut through one of those. But you talk to people who've actually cut through a just killed wild boar, and it's like they describe it as like butter in comparison. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Living bone is different from old bone.
Yeah, the wet bone and calcified ones. Very
Yep.
different. Yeah.
And it takes out only, like an hour or 2 hours sometimes.
Oh. All right.
Ready. Fence. Up.
Okay, that is about.
Yeah, that's just a dog bait.
Ready.
We're both tired, man.
Fence.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I wasn't trying to be flashy. So like here, I hit the blade. I was expecting you to go forward. And that was an attempt at a like a arm strike there. And then this was an exit because my plan was ruined. So I had to reset. And I wanted to keep the momentum going so I could keep going. So next, I was trying to feel what you wanted to do, but you were being aggressive already. So you hit that. You were going for another strike. That was almost panicky of me. I was trying to just swat it away. There. And I finally got contact, and I knew that I made an opening. And I was checking out if you were going to repeat it. And then I saw an attempt, and I saw the angle of the sword. So I raised the ox with a thrust in. And then I got the cover by exiting with the cover on top.
Exchange number 7, ready.
Careful with your shoulders.
Fence,
Pressure over. I just like faking turns to where you're
ready, fence. Up, 9. Exchange number 8, ready, fence.
Oh, okay, you got me. Finally.
Yeah, I tried to do the same thing I did, then I got hit in the wrist.
Up, flat.
Oh, that was a
It's fun
fast.
to fight the Witcher.
So I'll explain again my disclaimer on that Witcher spin thing. It was super flat, so it was a bad strike. Although I felt the feeling there, and then I saw the strike coming, so I used the edge to bring it away from threat, and I tried to counter it. I was off balance, but on the strike, it hit flat and it bounced flat. So I took a step back, but at this point, I'm supposed to move my left leg back, but the momentum and my sword after the strike pushed the sword the other way, so I went the other way.
No, you kept your center and, by turning with it, and, it's a valid way to get out is if you're not opening yourself to attacks, and I'm out of measure, so you're safe, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it felt safe, so I talked to him and I said, okay, I'm done.
And part of, just so you're aware, it's like the upright stance and turning like that, that's all Spanish montate. So it's like, that's the
yeah.
entire art is an upright stance and turning with a sword that's longer than ours. So it's like, depending on the context, right?
Are you saying I should buy a Montante now? Because I want one.
I don't say anything about HEMA and blade geeks wanting to buy more swords.
That was flat.
It's flat.
Exchange
Sayang,
number.
fancy
It's a
time.
photo picture.
Your exit could have been fancy.
Exchange number 9. Ready, fence.
Kalidog, please guard.
Tayo. Up.
Another thing that popped into my mind is the fact that I have no protection on my leg. So you purposely chose to basically only use my head and my shoulders as a target and my torso for stabbing. So it's like, thank you.
But in here though, I accidentally went for the calf. So
No, but my hands were a target because I was using Vernon's glove. So it's like, that's okay.
But this one though, I was going for like a shoulder here. I thought there was gonna be a parry, so I I did crump, so I barred. When I saw the sword down, usually when I fight these guys, their arms would be down. You were different. You kept your arms up even when your sword was pushed away. So I hit air. So I was like, okay, that doesn't work. Here. There, I did the crump again. And then there I was right on the arm. I was going for your head though. Then when it missed there, I went down. And then I tried to cover up.
Shit, shit, no, it's okay. Sorry. Last exchange. So let's play quick. Ang fancy naman ng video. Ready. Last exchange and fence. Oh, cover thrust. Oh, cover.
That was just a simple covered thrust. I saw the blade was down. So I tried to bind it, but it bounced. But you reacted to the beat to go up, and I just rode with it along because I knew that you wouldn't extend. So I went in. And that's the game.
And that's about. That's a big recall for you. It's a big.
There.
That's it.
Like looking at,
Yeah.
I don't know if you hear me, looking at like noticing other things and remembering things. Like one of the other things that really threw me off, I forgot that. So during COVID, I finally did something and like checked this, like I have to wear both farsighted and nearsighted glasses now. So this is like my first time sparring where it's like I'm really was thrown off. And so like I can see my measures really off. Like, you know, I'm trying to do techniques
Yeah.
out of measure and stuff. So I need to like definitely work on, and that's the other thing that people don't realize. You don't do this type of, when you make the transition to steel, like that was actually my first time really fencing in that helmet. And I was like, it's just night and day different to try to fence with something like that on your head and then seeing it. So that was like throwing me off. Then there's another thing that I was noticing at it. Oh, yeah, I have to like, I'm not, you know, I was basically just jumping in there, applying what I, you know, have studied from books, have done some training on my own from HEMA, but a lot of that is just natural reactions from FMA, which, you know, like you're saying, I'm not doing the same things you guys are expecting sometimes. But then it also says, just because it's martially sound with, you know, a piece of rattan, 28-inch piece of rattan or a Philippine blade, that does not mean it's martially sound with a longsword. So it's like, I have to do some homework to like really think of like, oh, when I'm using a longsword, what do I need to take out? What do I need to like refine and change? So it's a, you know, it's like, shit, I got a lot of homework.
Now, I also think that your gear has a lot to do with it as well. Like, for example, you mentioned that you just, this is the first time you used the mask for your helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the first time, one, you're not really used to it. So, and it seems that your view is constricted because it's just big holes and metal, unlike what we're using are the fencing masks. So we have a better vision for that. That's one. Second would be also your jacket. The jacket you've used, what, twice in your life?
Yeah, that was the second time I've used the jacket.
Okay, so that will take a lot. My jacket, the one I got, the same type of jacket you have. It took
How much
me
are those things? They're like what, 4 kilos, 5 kilos or more?
Oh, it took me, you know what? It took me weeks to get used to it. Because the first time I used it, I gasped out. I could not breathe. The first time I used
Yeah.
it. Second time, my movements were so constricted. So after a few weeks later, then I could move. Then I could move more comfortably with it.
You gotta get more sweat on it, and then that starts.
Yep.
Then don't wash it. Just kidding.
Well,
Yeah,
I say it's sewn you. I haven't washed it yet. It's just like, okay, let it air out.
yeah, that's
You know, you can get away with it, but it's like, I'm gonna have to wash it.
it's really difficult to move in that if you're not used to it.
No. It feels terrible when you first do it, but it's like, I kind of, you know, I enjoy the interaction so much that I forget it's there. But it does have, you know, like you said, it has impact. Anything, I mean, I guess like, what would you guys hope in terms of like new opponents coming for you guys? Like, you know, what would you wish that you'd have people working on? If they're gonna visit, they would bring some kind of game for you guys to work on,
Oh,
if it ever got to that point.
I want more people to play with. Like after we share like our sparring goals, and then we talk, and then we ensure each other's safety, and we're, we designate each other as sparring partners. Then try a lot of things. I mean, everybody's been training their own way, and we don't want to say like what we're doing is the right thing all the time. Be our guest, try stuff out.
But I will say
Yeah.
you guys are doing a right way.
A right way, one
I'm
right
I
way.
can like full hands like, no, you guys are definitely doing a right way and stuff.
Yeah.
For me, that's like pretty stupid. But anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's this sort of experimentation, because we do believe that techniques have to be pressure tested. With just those tenets of pressure testing, then training, then we'll know what techniques are actually historically sound. We derive from different sources. Every other people derive from other sources, but then there's a lot of factors in the sparring match, even our fitness. I have to work on that. I gas out a lot.
We all do.
Yeah, and that's one of my 2022 goals, right? And but we want to do the techniques justice. We have to perform it correctly. We'll try our best to try and prove it. And it's that journey of trying to find out which one works is what makes this whole thing interesting. So I actually invite a lot of people to try and play different weapons too.
I think the one other group, hopefully it's like, because right now it's just pretty much you guys and Baguio. But I'm like hoping like, oh, maybe Magani and them will get into it. But interesting enough, they're getting into like JMA, Japanese historical martial arts, or playing with that. So it's just like, hey, it's still steel, so we'll see where this all goes.
Yeah, the way I look at the HEMA rule set, it's good for steel edge and any steel edge. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be limited to historical European martial arts. I think any martial arts that includes steel, as long as it's like in a historical context.
Yeah.
Go. Yeah.
I actually brought with me, and it's like another time I brought like what we used to train sometimes. We take machetes and we basically grind the entire edge off. So then they become like, and you guys can see them.
Blunt.
Yeah, they're blunts, exactly. So that's what
It's
you used to train
dangerous.
with. And they have good flex because they're machetes, right? They're like
Okay.
500 peso machetes from True Value. But my only concern is like with FMA folks who don't understand the sparring aspect that you're doing. It's like they'll just hit harder than is needed because they're going to treat it like rattan sticks.
Oh yeah.
And if they hit unarmored stuff, that's not a good thing. It's like we're still keeping each other safe. But I mean, I'm looking forward to playing with some of that other stuff with you guys, and also the rapier another time.
Yeah. I mean, RG would have RG would have more experience like with the other weapon types, but I believe like there's a lot of intersection with machetes and mezzers and
Yeah.
side swords with other weapons, and the steel that was used in even creating these single hand swords can be used in the same techniques to create our own steel training weapons that are safe,
Yeah.
you can apply a lot of striking power, etc. But then a good technique would know, or a player would know how to deal with that, as long as it's not like meant to injure. Because there are certain strikes that we could consider excessive force. We tend to relax our attack after a hit is made. There is a way to use martially sound and hurt people. We could put more force after the impact. We could target areas that don't have protection. So we need to ensure that our goals are aligned before we can spar. But aside from that, I think the rule set would apply that we can play with each other. And it doesn't have to be in a competition, because we understand that a competition setting, people will really strike harder.
True.
People will really try their best to win. And I think that would be a very great measure on a different level. But it doesn't have to be that way right away. We can spar, have fun, try stuff out. We don't have to count points. And we could just play till we get tired.
But there's also there's like this one video of John Clement's folks tournament and stuff, and controversial figure, but still I had a lot of appreciation that you can see, like they're going, like he shows the guy who won the tournament. It's like the guy did like 70 matches, and they're using only like hockey gloves and then minimal armor. And there's still enough martial intent, but they're pulling their hits to keep each other safe. And they talk about the guy actually did break his hand that day. Well, I mean, they break his hand, a couple bones in his hand got broken and stuff. But it's like, my point is that it's for the future. It's like we can still train and we can still have a sport version where we're focused on technique and safety, versus like in some martial sports, they really want to hurt each other. And I think that's just bad when you're training with steel, because you can really, really hurt people.
Yeah, proper gear there. Even though you'd say like you'd have an advantage with 5 fingers with a hockey glove or anything like that, we have to think of our opponent who doesn't want to hurt you too. That's also a disadvantage or an advantage to each side. So we really want people to use accurately rated gear to ensure safety, so that you don't have to hold back on these things. Although like in our training, we don't necessarily go for hands. We go for our arms or like forearms. In tournaments though, hand shots are valid. So yeah, but other rule sets would discourage those too in competitive fencing. So it's really a matter of I know that there's different rule sets in HEMA tournaments, and we have to respect that. Everybody's trying to find out what's a good ideal. But currently, right now, I think with everybody here in the HEMA Philippines being in one place because of the Facebook group that we have, we're in a unique position to actually talk and try to get as much people as we want to play the sport, martial art.
I'll just say that this is a topic worthy of more discussion. That could be another 2-3 hour talk when you get into rule sets and stuff. But I will also say this is like, we got to start somewhere, and that's why it's like much credit to Carlos Magani for his Saber / event. It was like, he had a rule set, a lot of talented people came out there. And actually I'd say once I get all the videos and put them out there, that's actually a good, like a public conversation to have on HEMA Philippines. It's like, hey, we're going to go over the fights now, and then invite whoever participated to like talk about the matches and shit. I think that would be cool. Especially Coach Veer, who did quite well that day.
Yeah.
Hey, you gave me a saber, an Olympic fencing saber.
How did it feel sparring under like different rules with different tools?
What do you mean? I was playing the same thing. As pretty much, except when I was holding the fencing weapon, I played it like fencing, like a sport fencing, because that's how it's used. But for the other weapons that I used, how I play in HEMA with the long swords, pretty much how I did it. That's how I played it.
But so the Saber / tournament felt almost like a Saber tournament for you, a regular Saber tournament for you?
The one they used the one where they used the steel, yes.
But I mean, because like they also had
Play
How
the
many-
padded. I remember I did the padded and I did the, what do you call this?
Did you do single
rattan,
stick also?
the single stick thing. The one with the 1 foot stuck to the ground. Yeah, I did that.
Okay.
Which, by the way, I should have contested that. Anyway, that's another story.
You know, here's the thing.
We'll
I'm
just have
glad you-
another tournament.
I'm glad you didn't, because there's a lot of highly skilled, I mean, there's several people there who are athletes from national teams of Arneas and other things and stuff. So it's like, there's a lot of stuff that people could have called from their perspective, but I'm glad everyone supported what they were doing, you know, and respected their calls for, you know, the first event. But yeah, for the future, for sure. Was there anything else you guys wanted to talk about? We've been going, I don't know,
Wow.
but we've
yeah,
been going like almost 2 hours. Shit.
Yeah, wow. Well, I since we're going to post this, right? I'd like people to post different topics of what we want to talk about. Who do we want to join in these formats? As much as possible, like get more media out and get us all known here, in all the club members, all the members, all the students too, because a lot of people are starting out and there are a lot of lurkers. I want to hear more from people, and there's no really wrong answers, and you there's I'd like to believe that there's no elitism or anyone discriminating you. There's no one gatekeeping the sport, like saying, oh, what you're doing sucks and stuff like that. Those people might exist, but I'd like to think that everyone here in this group is not. We're open. We love swords. We're all nerds here. But we just decided to really love this and take it to the next level. So it's like an open invitation for everybody to participate. Vernon, maybe you want to say, because you started out too. Like, come on.
No.
Do what Vernon did. That's my advice. He put himself out there. He's posting videos. Maybe you want to link your OnlyFans. Just kidding. No, just kidding. He doesn't have one. Maybe he'll PM you. But he really engaged. Sometimes you just gotta put yourself out there, post videos, and then if you're open to critique, if you're open to learning different points of views and just take them in, and then discern for yourself, read the manuals, check out YouTube videos, talk to Elrik. He has a lot of knowledge also in the historical and all the weapons and any interests that our group has it all. So
Yeah, we really do want to support people in you know, making that switch from being lurker to, you know, go start doing it on your own, and, you know, reach out. You know, we do want to support you guys getting, you know, participating and going on your own, and then actually join the community when the time is right for you. And you
Yeah.
can start
And that's-
before you have the gear, you know, and, you know,
Yeah, I
but,
think-
you know, just reach out.
Yeah. Some people are just hesitating, I think. Just do it. Just, it's time. You know, I was thinking that for so long. I was just lurking in HEMA Philippines, watching what's happening, waiting for posts, and then I just dove in. There's no turning back. I had to do it. Otherwise, I'll just be lurking there forever, like a sad little. Yeah, you
I think-
enjoy.
And also, just like to put in perspective, you know, people might think like, and actually I was thinking like, oh shit, am I actually gonna let people know that's like my second time actually sparring with a longsword? But it's the truth, because I haven't had the gear to actually spar at that level of intensity, and actually other people with the gear to do it safely until now. 4 years later, the first time I actually made a longsword trainer was probably like around 2000. That's like 22 years ago, right? But just like my life and stuff. So it's like, you know, don't wait 22 years, guys.
don't. I already feel bad, like I discovered this so late in my life. And right now, it's such a good time to start, right, Elric? Like Forge has synthetic gear available for you to loan, to use. There's you don't need a lot of protection, and we could also spar in a lighter intensity. And there's wooden sticks. There's a lot of training materials that you can use to start off. And there's now official gear. You're getting so many fencing gear makers making stuff for HEMA. And yeah, I want the pro gauntlet. Just kidding.
Did you say pro gauntlet?
I want one. Anyway, but yeah, all cool stuff.
Cool, guys.
Any last words, RG, Beer? So people can hear from you.
Oh, yeah, it would be also nice to hear. I know that it's not just Filipinos or in the HEMA Philippines group, right? So it would also be nice to hear from people from other countries doing this, sharing what they know. And actually, also my dream is to have to make this international, especially within our region, to have international tournaments that we can visit. We could have tournaments here, and we could invite people to come over and train and compete rather. So it would be nice to have more people playing.
Yeah, like what you said. Yeah, for me, one of my personal goals is, yeah, get more people to play. It's no fun playing alone, you know. So the more, the merrier. Just come over and have fun. That's the point of doing all of this. We want to have fun, and we hope that we can build up to something really big.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
It's like debating whether I'm gonna be authentic about like my long-term goals, but it's like, you know, I knew there's value in training with steel, and like I really am an FMA person first. But it's like in FMA they give so much lip service to this. This goes back to the blade, but no one spars with the blade. But then, like, you know, I'm looking like, man, look at all those HEMA guys. They've been sparring with steel for decades now. And you know, and now it's just like being able to support you guys and then participating in it. It's like you're showing that not only can you train with steel, do it martially, do it safely, and get better. So you know, I hope more FMA people also get involved and say, hey, like, hey, we want to do this with, you know, our traditional blades, and then find a way to make that grow. Because it'll bring back some of the old skills that have actually disappeared because it's become more stick based. You know, so, and you know, in the meantime, I'm gonna enjoy longsword, rapier, and you know,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like watching the video behind you. I'm like, oh, you guys have bucklers? I'll do buckler next time.
Oh well, we love buckler.
I love buckler and arming sword, and like, you know, next time.
Next
Woo-hoo.
time. More toys to play with. Okay. So I guess that's it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Elrik, for inviting us and having this whole idea. It was great. We had fun, right?
Thank you for you know, inviting me out. You know, and I'll visit you guys across steel again soon. Take care, guys.